Welcome to Better English Step by Step. I am so glad you have decided to join me today for this long, calm study session. Today, we are focusing on a skill that every professional and every advanced student needs, the language of evaluation. We make decisions every single day. Sometimes these are small decisions, like what to eat for lunch, and sometimes they are big, life-changing choices, like whether to move to a new city or accept a new job. In your native language, you probably have many ways to describe the good parts and the bad parts of a choice. But in English, many learners get stuck. They use the words good and bad over and over again. This can make your speech feel a bit limited, or even a bit childish, even if your ideas are very smart. Today, we are going to fix that. We are going to walk through the phrases and sentence patterns that help you weigh your options like a native speaker. We will move slowly, starting with simple ways to talk about advantages, then looking at risks, and finally learning how to balance two different ideas in one sentence. This is a 1-hour lesson designed for you to listen, relax, and repeat. You don't need a notebook and you don't need to look at a screen. Just listen to the patterns and let them become part of your natural English. If you enjoy this slow, deep way of learning, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us keep creating these long-form lessons that respect your time and your intelligence. By subscribing, you're choosing to build your fluency step by step, without the stress of fast cuts or busy lessons. Now, let's begin by looking at how we talk about the positive side of a decision. When we talk about a choice, we often want to start with the positive. Instead of just saying it is good, we can use the word benefit. Benefit is a powerful word because it sounds professional and clear. Let's practice a very common pattern. The primary benefit is. Listen to how I say that. The primary benefit is. The word primary means the most important or the first. When you use this phrase, you are telling the listener that you have thought about all the good things and you are picking the best one. Let's try a full sentence. The primary benefit is the cost savings. Listen again. The primary benefit is the cost savings. Now, I want you to repeat it with me. The primary benefit is the cost savings. Focus on the word primary. Make that first syllable strong. Primary. The primary benefit is the cost savings. Let's try a different ending. The primary benefit is the flexibility. Repeat that after me. The primary benefit is the flexibility. This is a great phrase to use in a job interview or a business meeting. It shows you are looking at the value of a choice. Let's try one more variation. The primary benefit is the location. Repeat. The primary benefit is the location. Another way to talk about the positive side is to use the word upside. In English, an upside is a positive aspect or a hidden advantage. It is a bit more casual than benefit, but it is very common in office conversations. We often say, one major upside is. Listen to that. One major upside is. It sounds very natural. Let's practice. One major upside is the team culture. Again, one major upside is the team culture. Now you try. One major upside is the team culture. Imagine you are talking about a new company you might work for. You are weighing your options. You might say, one major upside is the short commute. Repeat that. One major upside is the short commute. Notice how the voice stays calm and steady. One major upside is the short commute. We can also say, the upside of this plan is. The upside of this plan is the speed. Repeat. The upside of this plan is the speed. When you use the word upside, you are showing that you understand there might be a downside too, which we will talk about later. For now, just feel the rhythm of that word. Upside. The upside of this choice is clear. Repeat. The upside of this choice is clear. Now let's look at a phrase that is slightly more formal. It offers the advantage of. This is a great way to link a choice to a specific result. Listen. It offers the advantage of better security. Again, it offers the advantage of better security. This pattern uses the word of, so we usually follow it with a noun or a gerund, which is an ing word. Let's try a noun first. It offers the advantage of stability. Repeat that. It offers the advantage of stability. Now let's try it with a gerund. It offers the advantage of working from home. Listen closely. It offers the advantage of working from home. Repeat. It offers the advantage of working from home. By using the word advantage, you are comparing this choice to something else. You are saying this one has something the others do not. Let's try another gerund. It offers the advantage of saving time. Repeat. It offers the advantage of saving time. Sometimes a choice is not just good, it is effective or useful. We can use the phrase, "It is a highly effective solution." The word highly adds a lot of strength to your sentence. It is a highly effective solution. Repeat that. It is a highly effective solution. Or perhaps, it is a very practical approach. Repeat. It is a very practical approach. These phrases help you describe why a decision is smart. Instead of saying, "I think this is a good idea," you can say, "This is a very practical approach." It sounds much more confident. Let's try one more in this section. A significant strength of this option is. This is a very professional way to begin a point. A significant strength of this option is its simplicity. Listen again. A significant strength of this option is its simplicity. Repeat that. A significant strength of this option is its simplicity. Today, I want you to try to use the word significant instead of big. It sounds much more polished. A significant strength of this option is its simplicity. Now that we have some ways to talk about the positive, we have to look at the other side. A good decision maker always looks at the risks. In English, we often use the word drawback. A drawback is a disadvantage, or a reason why a choice might not be perfect. The most common pattern is, the main drawback is, listen, the main drawback is the price. Again, the main drawback is the price. Repeat after me. The main drawback is the price. You are being honest when you use this word. You are showing that you have evaluated the whole situation. Let's try another one. The main drawback is the limited time. Repeat. The main drawback is the limited time. Or perhaps, the main drawback is the lack of experience. Repeat. The main drawback is the lack of experience. Notice how the word drawback sounds heavy. It carries the weight of the negative point. The main drawback is the distance. Repeat. The main drawback is the distance. Another useful word is downside. Just like we had upside for the positive, we have downside for the negative. We often say, the potential downside is. The word potential is important here. It means something that might happen. It isn't a fact yet, but it is a risk. The potential downside is the risk of failure. Repeat. The potential downside is the risk of failure. Let's try another one. The potential downside is the extra work. Repeat. The potential downside is the extra work. Using the word potential shows that you are thinking ahead. You are being careful. The potential downside is a loss of quality. Repeat. The potential downside is a loss of quality. If you want to sound even more advanced, you can use the word limitation. A limitation is something that prevents a choice from being perfect. It is very common in academic or technical English. For example, one major limitation is the battery life. Listen, one major limitation is the battery life. Repeat that. One major limitation is the battery life. Or, one major limitation is the budget. Repeat. One major limitation is the budget. This word is very useful when you are reviewing a product or a plan. It doesn't mean the plan is bad. It just means it has limits. One major limitation is the size of the room. Repeat. One major limitation is the size of the room. Sometimes we talk about what we might lose if we make a choice. We use the word trade-off. A trade-off is a balance. To get something good, you have to give something up. This is a very high-level word. We say, the trade-off is. The trade-off is higher quality for a higher price. Listen to that again. The trade-off is higher quality for a higher price. Repeat. The trade-off is higher quality for a higher price. It means you are choosing quality, but you know it will cost more. Let's try another trade-off. The trade-off is more freedom, but less security. Repeat. The trade-off is more freedom, but less security. This is a very common way to describe life choices. The trade-off is more freedom, but less security. We also need to be able to talk about things that are not certain. We use the phrase, we need to consider the risk of. This is a strong warning phrase. We need to consider the risk of delays. Repeat. We need to consider the risk of delays. Or, we need to consider the risk of miscommunication. This is a long word, so let's slow down. Miscommunication. We need to consider the risk of miscommunication. Repeat. We need to consider the risk of miscommunication. One more. We need to consider the risk of overspending. Repeat. We need to consider the risk of overspending. Now, we have learned how to talk about the good and the bad separately, but real fluency comes when you can put them together in one sentence. This is called balancing. We use contrast markers to do this. One of the most famous and useful ones is on the one hand and on the other hand. This sounds very balanced and intellectual. Listen to how I use it. On the one hand, it is expensive. On the other hand, it will last a lifetime. Notice the pause in the middle. Let's try it together. On the one hand, it is expensive. On the other hand, it will last a lifetime. Repeat. On the one hand, it is expensive. On the other hand, it will last a lifetime. This is like a scale. You are putting one idea on one side and one on the other. Let's try another one. On the one hand, the job is difficult. On the other hand, the salary is great. Repeat. On the one hand, the job is difficult. On the other hand, the salary is great. Practice this pattern whenever you have a choice with two sides. On the one hand, I am tired. On the other hand, I want to finish this lesson. Repeat. On the one hand, I am tired. On the other hand, I want to finish this lesson. Another way to balance is to use the word while at the beginning of the sentence. This is a bit faster and very professional. While the cost is high, the quality is excellent. Listen. While the cost is high, the quality is excellent. The first part of the sentence is the negative, and the second part is the positive. This makes the positive part sound more important. Let's try. While it is a long commute, the office is beautiful. Repeat. While it is a long commute, the office is beautiful. Or, while the software is old, it is very reliable. Repeat. While the software is old, it is very reliable. You can also reverse it. While the salary is good, the hours are very long. Repeat. While the salary is good, the hours are very long. In this case, the negative part at the end sounds more important. While the salary is good, the hours are very long. If you want to emphasize that you are making a choice despite a problem, use the word despite. This is a tricky word for many learners. Remember, after despite, you must use a noun or a gerund. Despite the high price, I think we should buy it. Repeat. Despite the high price, I think we should buy it. See how the word despite comes first. Despite the high price, I think we should buy it. Let's try a gerund. Despite being tired, he finished the project. Repeat. Despite being tired, he finished the project. Or, despite the weather, we had a great time. Repeat. Despite the weather, we had a great time. This shows that the positive outcome happened even though there was a negative factor. Despite the risks, it is a good opportunity. Repeat. Despite the risks, it is a good opportunity. A similar word is nevertheless. This is a very formal and powerful word. It usually comes after you have stated a problem. The project is behind schedule. Nevertheless, we are confident we will finish. Listen to that rhythm. The project is behind schedule. Nevertheless, we are confident we will finish. It is a very strong way to show determination. The plan has some flaws. Nevertheless, it is our best option. Repeat. The plan has some flaws. Nevertheless, it is our best option. Now, let's move into a very important part of making decisions, the hypothetical. This is when we talk about things that haven't happened yet. We are imagining the results of our choices. In English, we use the second conditional for this. The structure is, if we chose X, we would see Y. Notice that we use the past tense word chose, even though we are talking about the future. This is because the choice is not real yet. It is just an idea. Let's practice. If we chose the first option, we would save money. Repeat. If we chose the first option, we would save money. Listen to the word would. It is very soft. We would. If we chose the first option, we would save money. Let's try another one. If we hired more staff, we would finish faster. Repeat. If we hired more staff, we would finish faster. Again, focus on the past tense hired and the word would. If we hired more staff, we would finish faster. What if the result is negative? If we move too quickly, we would make mistakes. Repeat. If we move too quickly, we would make mistakes. This is how you warn someone about a choice. If we move too quickly, we would make mistakes. Let's try one about a personal choice. If I took that job, I would have to travel a lot. Repeat. If I took that job, I would have to travel a lot. Using this structure makes you sound very thoughtful. You are not just guessing, you are analyzing. If I took that job, I would have to travel a lot. We can also use the word might instead of would if we are not 100% sure. If we change the design, it might be more popular. Repeat. If we change the design, it might be more popular. This sounds a bit more cautious. If we change the design, it might be more popular. Or, if we lowered the price, we might sell more. Repeat.
If we lowered the price, we might sell more. This is a great way to make suggestions in a meeting. If we lowered the price, we might sell more.
Now, let's practice some sentences where we combine everything we have learned. I will say a long sentence, and I want you to listen to how it is built. Taking everything into account, the primary benefit is the speed, but we must consider the risk of errors. That is a long sentence, isn't it? Let's break it down. Taking everything into account. This means you have looked at all the facts. The primary benefit is the speed. That's our positive point. But we must consider the risk of errors. That's our negative point. Let's try to say the whole thing together, slowly. Taking everything into account, the primary benefit is the speed, but we must consider the risk of errors. Repeat after me. Taking everything into account, the primary benefit is the speed, but we must consider the risk of errors. Excellent. Let's try another one. While there are some significant drawbacks, I believe the upside is worth the effort. Repeat. While there are some significant drawbacks, I believe the upside is worth the effort. This is a very common way to conclude a discussion. You are admitting there are problems, but you are still choosing to go forward. While there are some significant drawbacks, I believe the upside is worth the effort. Let's try a sentence using our hypothetical structure and a balance marker. If we chose the cheaper option, we would save money, but we might sacrifice quality. Repeat. If we chose the cheaper option, we would save money, but we might sacrifice quality. This is a very sophisticated sentence. If you can say this, you are operating at a B2 or even a C1 level of English. Let's try it one more time. If we chose the cheaper option, we would save money, but we might sacrifice quality. Sometimes, when we make a decision, we need to talk about our priorities. We use the phrase, the most critical factor is. Critical is a much better word than important when the choice is serious. The most critical factor is timing. Repeat. The most critical factor is timing. Or, the most critical factor is the budget. Repeat. The most critical factor is the budget. By using the word critical, you are telling the listener that if this one thing is wrong, the whole decision is wrong. The most critical factor is the budget. We also use the phrase, everything else being equal. This means if all the other things are the same, this is the one that matters. Everything else being equal, I prefer the blue one. Repeat. Everything else being equal, I prefer the blue one. It is a very polite way to show a preference. Everything else being equal, I prefer the blue one. In a professional setting, you might say, everything else being equal, we should choose the local supplier. Repeat. Everything else being equal, we should choose the local supplier. As we reach the middle of our session, I want you to take a deep breath. You are doing a great job. Learning these patterns is not about memorizing a dictionary. It is about feeling the flow of the language. When you speak, you don't want to be searching for words. You want these patterns to be waiting in your mind, ready to be used. That is why we repeat them. Let's do a few more repeat after me rounds with some everyday choices to make it feel real. Imagine you are choosing a new apartment. The primary benefit is the natural light. Repeat. The primary benefit is the natural light. However, the main drawback is the noise from the street. Repeat. However, the main drawback is the noise from the street. Now let's balance them. While the street is noisy, the natural light is wonderful. Repeat. While the street is noisy, the natural light is wonderful. If I lived there, I would feel much happier. Repeat. If I lived there, I would feel much happier. Despite the noise, I think it's the right choice. Repeat. Despite the noise, I think it's the right choice. Now imagine you are choosing between two cars. Car A is fast but expensive. Car B is slow but safe. On the one hand, Car A is much faster. Repeat. On the one hand, Car A is much faster. On the other hand, Car B is much safer for the family. Repeat. On the other hand,
Car B is much safer for the family. The trade-off is speed for safety. Repeat. The trade-off is speed for safety. Taking everything into account, safety is the most critical factor. Repeat. Taking everything into account, safety is the most critical factor. Now let's think about a work decision. You have to decide whether to use a new software. It offers the advantage of being very modern. Repeat. It offers the advantage of being very modern. But we need to consider the risk of technical issues. Repeat. But we need to consider the risk of technical issues. One major limitation is that it doesn't work on older computers. Repeat. One major limitation is that it doesn't work on older computers. Nevertheless, it will help us stay competitive. Repeat. Nevertheless, it will help us stay competitive.
You are starting to see how these pieces fit together. It's like building with blocks. You have your positive block, your negative block, and your connector block. When you put them together, you have a beautiful, clear English sentence. Let's look at a few more sophisticated words for evaluation. One word I love is viable. Viable means that a plan can actually work. It is realistic. We often ask, is this a viable option? Repeat, is this a viable option? Or we say, this doesn't seem like a viable solution. Repeat, this doesn't seem like a viable solution. It is much more professional than saying, I don't think this will work. Using the word viable shows you are thinking about the practical side of things. Another great word is feasible. It is very similar to viable. It means something is possible to do easily or conveniently. Is it feasible to finish by Friday? Repeat, is it feasible to finish by Friday? Or, it is not financially feasible at this time. Repeat, it is not financially feasible at this time. This is a very common way to say no in a business context without being rude. It is not financially feasible at this time. Now, let's talk about the word outcome. An outcome is the result of a decision. We often talk about a positive outcome or a negative outcome. We are hoping for a positive outcome. Repeat, we are hoping for a positive outcome. Or, the final outcome depends on many factors. Repeat, the final outcome depends on many factors. This is a very useful word because it focuses on the end of the process. It's not just about the choice, it's about what happens because of the choice. What about when a decision is very difficult? We call this a tough call. It's a tough call, but I think we should wait. Repeat, it's a tough call, but I think we should wait. Or, it's a difficult choice to make. Repeat, it's a difficult choice to make. When you say it's a tough call, you are acknowledging that there are good points on both sides. It shows that you are being thoughtful. Let's look at one more advanced pattern. The more, the more. This is used to show how two things change together. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Repeat, the more I think about it, the more I like it. This is a very natural way to express a developing opinion. The more we wait, the more expensive it becomes. Repeat, the more we wait, the more expensive it becomes. Or, the more research we do, the more risks we find. Repeat, the more research we do, the more risks we find. As we move into the final part of our session, I want to talk about how to actually make the final decision in English. You have weighed the pros and the cons. You have looked at the risks. Now you need to say what you have decided. A very common way to do this is to say, I have come to the conclusion that. Listen, I have come to the conclusion that we should move forward. It sounds much more formal and decided than just saying, I think. I have come to the conclusion that we should move forward. Repeat, I have come to the conclusion that we should move forward. Let's try another. I have come to the conclusion that this is not the right time. Repeat, I have come to the conclusion that this is not the right time. You can also say, based on the evidence, I suggest. Repeat, based on the evidence, I suggest we choose option A. This shows that your decision is based on facts, not just feelings. Based on the evidence, I suggest we choose option A. Or, after weighing the options, I have decided to stay. Repeat, after weighing the options, I have decided to stay. Sometimes we need to admit that we made a mistake in the past. This is where we use the word hindsight. Hindsight is the ability to understand a situation only after it has happened. We often say, in hindsight, it was a mistake. Repeat, in hindsight, it was a mistake. Or, in hindsight, we should have chosen the other one. Repeat, in hindsight, we should have chosen the other one. This is a very mature way to speak. It shows you are learning from your decisions. We also have a phrase for when you change your mind. I have had second thoughts. Repeat, I have had second thoughts about the project. This means you were sure before, but now you are worried. I have had second thoughts about the project. It is always okay to have second thoughts if you find new information.
Let's do one final long review of everything. I want you to really focus on the rhythm of these sentences. This is your chance to shine. Imagine you are presenting a summary of a big decision. We are looking at two different paths. On the one hand, path A offers the advantage of a lower cost. However, the main drawback is that it will take longer to complete. On the other hand, path B is a highly effective solution for our time problems, but the potential downside is the high budget requirement. Taking everything into account, I believe path B is the more viable option. If we chose path A, we might save money now, but we would face more risks in the future. Therefore, I have come to the conclusion that we should proceed with path B. That was a lot of English. Let's break that summary down into small pieces for you to repeat one last time.
We are looking at two different paths. On the one hand, path A offers the advantage of a lower cost. However, the main drawback is that it will take longer to complete. On the other hand, path B is a highly effective solution. The potential downside is the high budget requirement. Taking everything into account, I believe path B is more viable. If we chose path A, we would face more risks. I have come to the conclusion that we should proceed with path B. You have just completed an hour of deep, focused English practice. You have moved from simple good and bad to sophisticated words like viable, drawback, and hindsight. You have practiced balancing complex ideas using while and on the one hand. You have even mastered the second conditional for hypothetical choices. This is how you build better English, step by step, slowly and surely. Your next step is very simple. I want you to think of one decision you have to make this week. It could be something small, like what book to read next, or something big. Spend 5 minutes today talking to yourself in English about this choice. Use at least 3 of the patterns we practiced today. Use on the one hand, use the primary benefit is, and use if I chose. By doing this, you are taking what you heard today and making it yours. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next long-form lesson. We are here to help you reach your goals in a calm, comfortable way. Remember, fluency is not a race, it is a journey. You are doing perfectly. Keep practicing, keep listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Sleep well or have a wonderful day, and keep building your English step by step.